in the back.
Don't censor
Don't
Shrek.
censor Shrek.
I'm Evan Schill.
I'm Taylor Stack.
I'm Claire Krieger.
I'm Madeline Wester.
And we are...
Not freshmen anymore.
No, we're still freshmen.
Okay. So we're going to start with 10 tips for perfect quick change. Claire, take it away.
Okay, wow. Not like Taylor's more experienced. From what little theater knowledge I have about theater in general and theater costumes in general, I can tell you that this article was nothing special.
Wow.
It's like quick rig. Use snaps. Use zippers. Make a design around all your little steps. Hey, did you know elastic makes great shoelaces? Like, even though I know nothing about like theater costumes, even I knew this, and it's like a BuzzFeed article about theater for people who don't do theater, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, to me reading it, I was like in the context of like where we are at like Carnegie Mellon School of Drama, and like we have to do all this, and like it seemed very like basic information. We were like, okay, this is like irrelevant to us, but I think what it looked like to me, like the target audience to me seemed very much like moms with like kids having a dance recital, and they were like, okay, we have all of our kids that need to do the Nutcracker. How do we get little Tina, make sure she's on stage in her bumblebee costume before she has to switch into her tutu? Like,
There's no bumblebees in this question.
well, it was just an example.
My favorite part of the article was the illegally pirated video version of Carly Rae Jepsen showing the Cinderella quick change.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was like, wow. They couldn't use any of the actual film clips of the dress or any of like... I remember like seeing a video of them actually like going through the process of that quick change.
Yeah.
They could have used that video. Instead, they decided to go on some pirated website and use the Carly Rae Jepsen version, which is great.
I do think that if I were a PTA mom and like my daughter had her dance recital and her shoes were just too finicky, this article would have probably helped me with like some things, but like if you're like already working, like if you have any form of costume experience whatsoever, especially in a theatrical setting, like none of this is very new. So I feel like it being uploaded to Blogspot wasn't necessarily like a way to teach us any new tips and tricks.
Right. Question for you, Taylor. How quick in the process do you want to add these like quick change techniques into your costumes?
Well, when you like read the script, like if it's a show that like has already like been done before, like usually you know, like if we're gonna go like super basic and commercial, like for instance, like if you're doing Legally Blonde, you know there is going to be an onstage quick change in the middle of like the opening number, so like things like that. But that's something you like want to talk to your director about very early on, because like if you make an entire costume and then you find out at the end, by the way, this has to be ripped off their body in less than 10 seconds, like you're gonna have to chop into that costume and reconstruct it to like figure that out. But like I know in Ragtime, like Keith, who was the costume designer, he's the one that figured out the timing for for when all the actors would be available, and he made all the charts, and he figured out who could do what when, and who was going to be able to do exactly what times for quick changes and being on stage, and like gave it to Tomei and was like, here are the actors you could have for these scenes. Which I was like, yay Keith. But, yeah.
Always easy.
Okay, cool.
My favorite is step 4, get help from others. I don't know.
It's pretty silly.
It's kind of like, I don't know, it's not like you can do theater by yourself, so you're kind of already getting help from others, so I'm not sure why you need this reiterated, but...
Just going through the costume mini is basically these things, and then like much more.
You remind me of how like every week there's an article posted on why teamwork's important.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that, but like for costumes.
Oh, my favorite are it's another top 10 list. These are my favorite articles. Top 10 tips. And it's like, here's one tip that might be helpful and 9 tips you can get from a Google search.
It's always like top 10 tips for making a project work. Step 1, communication. And we're like,
we got that.
I don't know.
Actually, yeah, Ruby.
Valiant Hindenburg.
Okay.
Also, her computer guide.
All right.
Oh, wow.
All right. So the next article is why authoritarians attack the arts. So when I go on the New York Times and I read articles, which is basically never, the first sentence talks about the Third Reich, I'm a little scared. And then when it keeps talking and then they make comparisons to Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler, I get even more freaked out because, like, holy shit, our president shouldn't be compared to Adolf Hitler. to like holy fuck.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So what I thought was really cool about this is that the first
You think this is cool?
not cool. Cool's not the right word. But in like the first like paragraph, I didn't know that like Adolf Hitler like controlled so much of the art where he like had like 2 exhibits. One was like for like art based on him.
Mattered.
Yeah. Well, like
Hitler
Aryan.
actually, like,
Yeah.
because he wanted to be an artist growing up as a kid, and then his parents were like,
Yeah.
But he was also not a good artist.
I know, but like still like the principle, like he wanted to be an artist, and his parents were like, no, and he was like,
Well, there's that whole movie about like recovering, like they would destroy
Monument
famous
Men.
art pieces.
The Monument Men.
Oh yeah.
I wrote a global history paper about them.
So
Also, I was like I've heard this before, like comparing Donald Trump to Hitler, that they'll like read Hitler's quotes to people on the street and say it was from Donald Trump, and they'll be like, "Do you support this policy?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, I support it." And they'll be like, "Yeah, that was Hitler, not Trump."
surprise.
Yeah, surprise! Not really surprised. So I've heard that before, but that was that. Also, I got really excited when Ai Weiwei, I'm fucking up his name here.
Ai
is sitting-
Weiwei?
Ai Weiwei, thank you. Ai Weiwei is sitting in all the stools.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I know Ai Weiwei also did a piece where he turned a stool, like he took a ton of stool caps and connected them all and he turned like 10 stools into one giant chair to like talk about uselessness and
We used to have
waste.
it at the museum.
Yeah, because I remember when we went to
We
the
went and saw their sculpture.
yeah, because he had like he also has like a photography piece where it's like he mentioned like because he like it was he took a bunch of photos of like buildings from like the Chinese government and like things like that and like essentially just like flipped them off and like it was a whole photo series. So he's like
Oh yeah, I
he has
remember that
he has a
one.
lot of his art is about like
That was pretty cool.
he's like angst and like defying the government and whatnot.
so like one thing that like I
He's
would
also
say
imprisoned for it.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
one
been
thing
in and out of prison. The only reason he's not like dead and in prison right now is because his following, like from his international following, fights every single time he gets arrested, and the Chinese government just not our problem.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
All good artists go to prison.
yeah, so one thing that
Battle it.
Adolf
You got plans for tonight?
oh my god.
I'm going to prison.
One thing
Going to
Adolf
prison
Hitler
together.
realized was that art will like heavily influence like the public and what they see of him and all of that. So he purposely would like censor it so that way like only the good art was shown of him, and then he would purposely like have art exhibits that showed like how bad the degenerate, which was like the Jewish artists, and put their work and how like they would do derogatory terms towards that. And then you can relate that to like how Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about art because he wanted to get rid of the NAE and EA. Right?
Wow,
How do
so
I
Hitler
pronounce it?
had better policies than Trump.
Kind of.
Well, this is kind of like that. There was another article. Did you read it? That was like, should we censor art? And it had like Chris Evans holding Donald Trump's head. Did you see that one? It was basically like the argument was like, at what point do you like censor art, and like should we censor art?
Well, I think
So
Interesting.
while we're talking about history of Hitler, we should segue into the next article. Here's a very brief history
Okay.
of ballet, told through incredible costumes. Taylor, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, sure. Every time I see articles about ballet posted, I'm always like, ballet, because I don't know, I feel like at this school in particular, like, that's something we don't learn about, like, as much, like, we have dance light as an opportunity for the costumers to learn
But
about, like, dance
still.
costumes, but it's not really, like, I mean, like, I saw and there's, like, people in sweatshirts and, like, leggings, and I was like, it doesn't really, it makes me wish I learned, like, I would be able to learn more about the actual construction of, dance costumes, especially, like, the American Ballet Company, like, they're the only ballet company to have their own costume shop, and just, like, the craftsmanship that goes into, do you need, like, flip the things?
Oh, it's fine. It's just
Okay, just because, like, the craftsmanship that goes into making costumes for ballet is, like, so completely, like, another wheelhouse than, like, what we learned for theatrical costuming. It makes me kind of wish that this program, like, taught us more about it. Not even, like, to spend practical hours learning it, like, making anything, but even just, like just a book or something. I don't know. But this article in particular, I got really excited about, but it wound up just being, like, photos and, like, a weird video, like a BuzzFeed video. So I kind of wish it actually went into, like, I mean, I'm also, like, a history nerd, so, like, maybe that's just why I wished, like, I would love to have read a bunch of facts about, like, the history and then just, like, watching a video of it. But for, like, what it was, I guess it was fine.
I mean, I like opened up the article and I was like, yeah, here we go. Let's learn more about something I don't know much about. And then I saw a picture of people in their underwear and I was like, well, I don't know ballet, but that doesn't look like ballet to me. But I was like, but you know what? I'll roll with it because I'm liking what I'm seeing. And then like after there, it was kind of just downhill.
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing overall because like I've seen photos of like such like intricate detail work, like especially in the bodices of these costumes and the construction that goes into making the tutus and stuff is like unreal. And then it was just a very underwhelming article. It didn't talk about the construction of it, let alone the design of it, or like what goes into like the wardrobe process of having to upkeep like these really intricate costumes. I was sad.
Well, it's Refinery 29, so I guess it's just a bunch of people that are like, hey, I know something about ballet, and then they're like, let's write article, but it doesn't actually pertain to anything. That's like interesting.
It was just like the title of it was just like ballet history, beautiful costumes, and then it was just like it was kind of a letdown for me.
I feel like they were
It did inspire me to like research more about it, so because that was good.
I know nothing about ballet. I'm not a fan of ballet. This article proved nothing. I didn't learn a thing.
I like ballet, but like, have you heard of hip play?
Oh
Which they've started combining like hip hop into ballet in the cinema.
I could fuck with that.
And I can fuck with that. It's like taking the grace of ballet with like more of an intense rhythm, and it's really good.
I like
It's
how
really
I really do
And
like how.
I think it's a developing section because you can't put just hip hop clothes on the dancers. You can't just put ballet clothes on the dancers. Like there needs to be a completely new approach developed.
I really like how like ballet is
what happens in
becoming
the next
more
5 years.
modern,
Yeah.
and I think that'll like make me appreciate it more. Just because I don't really like just sitting for 2.5 hours. Like what they're doing is super cool. I can never do that, and I like totally appreciate what they're doing. And like I don't know how costume designers can actually like costume a ballet person when they're like shoes are bleeding because their feet are like on point.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! I don't get how that's another cool thing you guys do, but I think when it gets more modern, it'll be really cool.
All right, speaking about getting more modern, let's talk about the need for cultivating theater critics of color.
Hey.
What?
Oh, this article. So, you want to start?
No,
Okay,
go ahead.
no, you go.
No, I don't.
We could discuss the font.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's like
How I round? How round?
Howl around.
How I round or howl around?
The lowercase letter N in the middle round is bigger than the starting letter is like. Whatever.
Someone was like, I want to like embody the love child of Comic Sans and Papyrus, but also I want it to be
Got a lot of
worse.
wingdings in there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, let's talk
It
about the
looks like-
actual article.
It's like a
Why is the W so clean?
All right.
It looks like a
Look at it. It's
blind
like
toddler opened up Microsoft Word and was like,
no, look how clean that W is. Look at
yeah,
it.
it's the Walgreens logo. Anyway.
All right. So this
So-
article is saying about how theater critics are the gatekeeper of theater and all this other things. And back in the 1970s, 1980s, I would completely agree that you need theater critics or your show won't survive. I think in 2017, no one gives a shit about what reviews are anymore. New York Times can literally praise a show and the show will close the next day or in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And our critics are going to slowly become more and more faded out, just like along with newspapers, shocker, because everyone can get fucking BuzzFeed on their phone.
Yeah.
So no one really
I mean,
needs
like,
theater critics. There's Twitter now.
Especially like in a time, because like in a time where like what Evan said was like if you go back, like yeah, that's true because unless you saw the show, the only way you were able to know anything was either hearing about it from someone else who had seen the show or reading the credits. Because essentially theater it's still extremely inaccessible, but like even more so of the time. But now we can like if someone sees a show and they love it, they could like tweet about it, and someone in another country can hear about it and look it up for themselves, and like there are videos and about it and like the process of making the shows and like not necessarily like a review on the show itself, but like people are more easily able to make their own judgments based on it without even seeing it than just relying on what the critics says.
It's like more like movies now. You see, it's like the 15-second ad you have to watch before a YouTube video, and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty good, and you watch the whole thing, and then you're like, hey, I have all these movies that I've seen commercials for that I want to see it, or people have told me about the movies, and then maybe if you're having a hard time choosing between two, you read like critics what they're saying, but usually it's like, who cares?
So there's two things that, well, the first one really fucking bothered me. The second one I agree with. So there's a quote that said, Heidi Weiss of Chicago Sun-Times seems surprised to walk into a
Telenovela.
how do I say that?
Oh,
Latinx show inspired by telenovelas that contain dramatic structures used by the Greek Shakespeare and Brecht. Odd when you consider that Karen Zakarz, I can't read the last name, holds a BA from Stanford and MFA from Boston University. This is exactly what I expect from an artist with a stellar academic training. That statement, this is exactly what I would expect from an artist with such a stellar academic training. I don't believe that you need to go to this amazing academically structured school to be able to put on good theater. Like,
Yeah.
she has an this woman has an MFA from Boston University, and that literal sentence is demeaning all of the work that she has just put in
That's true.
to her BA from Stanford and her MFA from Boston University. And I just think, holy shit, that was awful. And
It's
then,
unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, if
because
you have a degree, you're usually good. But if you're good, it doesn't mean you have a degree.
yeah. I mean, because like on the flip side, there are people who do produce bad stuff that go through good programs, and like,
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone is. I mean, like these high colleges don't have like some magic wizard power that's gonna like magnetically draw all the best people in the entire country. Like, not everyone. There are talented people who don't have the opportunity to go to such, like, who can't pay for it, or like their parents won't let them, or there's also people who like aren't that good but can pay their way in and things like that. And when you just like demote anything about the person and just like kind of stick on that label, which is ironic because we're speaking at Carnegie Mellon, and that's like one of the biggest like Carnegie Mellon stamp kind of esque concepts. I don't know.
So when we're talking about academic theater, let's talk about parents who censor high school theaters are morons. Parents who censor high school theaters are morons.
oh my god,
agree.
I remember I literally commented on this article, and I am so over some bored little PTA mom and dad who's like, oh, my kid can't know that someone's about to have sex on stage. Like, they're fucking 16 years old, take a health class, I don't give a shit. I would understand if, like, the show was like American Idiot, where it's like, fuck every other word. So you don't pick a show that has fuck as every other word. But when they were like, Pippin and what
Pippin's like a 40-year-old musical, isn't it?
Yes.
And they're like, oh, no thanks, we can't do that.
Yeah. So there's a couple inappropriate scenes in Pippin, which I would understand a high school feeling odd about it. But at the same time, we're not like, this bothers me so much.
As a cultural standpoint, from someone whose parents are divorced, and one is a lesbian and one is very religious, and that's the reason why they got divorced, I have a quote in this article that I feel very strongly about. We don't use bad words in our family, Sue Sterling said at a school board meeting on March 17th, as reported by the Herald. I am a Christian woman and feel you are degrading me and my family because of what we live by. And I do not know this woman's beliefs, but in my town, if you are Christian, you hate gay people and you teach your children hate about like gay people. So like to me, this is all like a position. The Christian people don't like the gay people, and the gay people don't like the Christian people, right? That's just the way it is where I come from. So everyone has what is correct and what is incorrect. And when you selfishly say like, this doesn't work for me, so it can't work for everybody. You just sit around going around in a circle until you're like, let's put someone dressed up there in a turtleneck dress with long sleeves and goes all the way to the floor, and then she stands there and goes, everybody's my friend. The world's amazing. Yay!
That quote bothered me for the reason that she went to a public school and said, these are my religious beliefs, you can't do that to my family and like teach my children that. I understand if you're like, if it's a private school, yes, and also
and it's like a Christian private school.
Yeah, or like you're like, oh, I don't teach my children. Like, I mean, they're also fucking 16 years old. They know what fuck means. Oh my god, this
Chill out,
I hate.
I know.
Hate this so much. But okay, so say you're like, oh, I don't want my children to be around cursing. Understandable. Everyone wants to teach their children different things, that's totally fine. But you can't go into a public school hearing and say, because of my religious beliefs, I am so against that. Like,
and like
Just
I
don't
can-
go see the show.
don't
yeah.
go see the show. Don't have your children
Don't get
participate in.
involved in it.
Don't-
They can do community theater somewhere else. Where
Yeah,
there's
this
not-
is a school. This isn't like practice your religious beliefs on everyone. Like,
Yeah, and like I could understand if like a school didn't want to do a show that would like be putting students in like almost like a sexualized character because it is like an academic educational setting and it's not like a theater where you are free reign to do whatever you want, and like I kind of get that, like, but on the other standpoint, if it's things like cursing or I don't know, it's also just like you don't have to cut, like you can.
So I know if it's a show that deals with like rape or like sexual, like
Yeah,
something like that, I
yeah,
can understand
I can
a lot
understand,
more than
'cause it's
saying,
like, you're not, because as high school theater, like in most cases, unless you're at like perhaps like an arts high school, you're doing it just kind of like for the fun of theater, not to like impact a change through theater art. Then like in that case, yeah, doing anything goes, no horror play here, but like
literally every show you can point out some flaw that a high school can't do because it's inappropriate. Like, anything goes.
Yeah.
You could say, I did the show last year, but Bonnie or Irma, whatever you know what I'm talking about, like the sidekick,
yeah,
the funny sidekick. You can say she's too sexual for school, and like
even Shrek.
even Shrek, like.
hashtag even
Hashtag even Shrek.
But like, if it wasn't for high school theater, I wouldn't be at Carnegie Mellon. I don't know what I would have done if it was like if I had PTA parents coming in being like, "Oh, I need to censor this." Like, I did the Laramie Project
yeah.
in high school, and there were some words dropped in there, and if a parent came in there and was like, "You can't do the show because if there's bad language," I would have lost my shit.
Yeah, it's also like hard when you're trying to control, because in the sense, like I think Clara mentioned, like it's kind of like, to me, it's almost along the same veins of like you know how like you can't yell at someone else's kid for something they do, because that's just like not like they're not your child, so like it's not up to you how they're raised. I mean, unless like if there's something like abusive going on or whatever, but like you can't, just because you don't want your child being like exposed to something, which I mean in itself is hard to maintain, especially in like the internet, like what we have now, but trying to shut down a show just because you're afraid of what your kid is seeing, like, doesn't necessarily mean everyone else is going to feel that way. And it's like, you don't get to pick how everyone else is raised.
And this is like, I want to
so
say
why
one more
would-
thing. We're going to say one more thing. So this isn't like, there's a difference between viewing a show like Avenue Q. Like, obviously that show is not appropriate for a high school setting where literally one of the characters' names is Lucy T. Slut. Like, that's understandable. But then there's schools like this, and then there was like an article a couple months ago about how like a school wasn't gonna do ragtime because it said the N-word. And I think you're hurting like the population by stopping things like that, because you need to teach people, like, especially in ragtime in that instance, like saying that particular word in that sense shows that like people are bad and like you shouldn't do stuff like that. So like, don't censor, because people can actually learn something from it.
And while we're talking about censorship, we might as well go to, in Minnesota, change play's title or lose a production. Who wants to start? The timer's being here. What? What? The timer's being here.
Okay. Well, it's titled mulatto, which is a derogatory word for a person born of a white and a black person.
So do you remember when they had that Barbie doll go around? And they called, it was the Oreo Barbie doll?
I know exactly what you're
Wait, what?
There
Yeah,
was-
they had oh god, they had like it was like one of the first, like, oh god, what was it, they actually had like a black Barbie doll. It was like the Oreo Barbie doll.
What?
They call
Yeah, they called it the Oreo. It was like Oreo packaging, like the Oreo cookie.
Because
Oh
they did
my
like a line of food or something like that.
Yeah,
But
they-
no
yeah.
one on the production team went, hang on,
That's awful.
this is not a good idea. We shouldn't do
Oh my
this.
god.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that
Or like,
relates.
there was a thing that went around where like someone got a tattoo of a barcode on their wrist, and the barcode, if you scan it, is a package of Oreos, right?
Mhm.
And so people were like, "What is that? That's so stupid." And they like figured out, they're like, "Oh, it's a barcode for Oreo. That's so offensive." Da 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 da. Until the person was like, "I did that on purpose," kind of thing. I don't know. I just remember that as well.
So I think it's really important that they're like the town that wanted to like that said like, oh, you either change the title or like we're gonna shut it down. Like the author like wrote a letter saying that like
Oh, really?
yeah.
I didn't know that. I read like parts of it. It's
Oh
fine.
my god. It says the show does not ignore the words derogatory origins and in fact addresses them in the first few minutes of the show. In a large way, discussing these origins is a lot what the show is about. So I think, again, just like what I just
It's basically
ranted
the
about
same thing,
for
yeah.
like 6 minutes, like don't censor something. Like obviously, the person
It's doing good. It's not.
it's not yeah like they're not
Causing a problem.
going out being like oh like
If it was used in like a way to actually put down people, like
then
why put it on? But like if it's actually like encouraging people to think about these topics and like talk about them, then
I think
it's
it's
important.
Yeah, if the show was like, I hate women, and then the entire show was written and produced by men about like hating women and like, we love sexual assault.
and
That'd be
how great they are at being white.
yeah, you'd probably be like,
yeah.
that's not good. Let's not do that. But if it's like talking about issues to promote like awareness for them, like I get that. If it was like yeah, basically. I mean, also from like a production standpoint, if you change the name of a show, you do run the risk of people not knowing what it is. Like just the average public, that like they're not going to want to recognize the name.
Like,
Also,
the writer
like-
specifically chose this title
Yeah, you're
for
also
a
like
reason.
it's
For a
like
reason.
if you walked into an art museum with a black Sharpie and you're like, I don't like that. I think that's offensive, and you just like drew on top of it, and you're like, sorry, whatever the original artist's intention was, we don't care.
Also, like, so the racial breakdown of Minnesota on Wikipedia, even if someone changed it, went from 89% white in 2000 and dropped a whole 4% to 85% white in 2010. So, like, that's the demographics you're working with.
I think I've learned a lot about this from like coming to this school that people don't want to accept change because it scares them. So like, why would a white person who's just comfortable in their life want to be like hit with reality? And you can do that about a lot of things. Like no one really gives a shit about recycling until like holy fuck we don't have an Earth anymore. And then people are gonna be like oh we should recycle. And then it goes through every issue. It's like people don't want to see what they don't want to see
Yeah.
because they don't want to change the way that they are. But people should change because it'll make them better. Don't censor.
Don't censor.
Just like hashtag what was
Even
it?
Shrek.
Even Shrek.
Shrek.
Don't censor.
Or don't
Okay.
censor Shrek.
Don't censor Shrek.
Don't.
Just don't censor Shrek.
Now we have a special article, which is a podcast. Spiel Chicago, episode 17, Lavina, Jadhwani. So I definitely pronounced that wrong, and that's probably going to be part of it. I'm just going to, yeah.
So I thought this is really cool that, where was it? That this is the Midwest's first South Asian American theater company. And where else was it? Yeah, right? That's correct. The Midwest. Yeah. So I think that's really cool that more people are becoming more open. Yeah.
I think I remember
I
it was
like-
during one of the because especially for like this demographic, what'd you say it was like South Asian or something?
Yeah, so
Yeah, I remember in one of the
Asian American.
yeah, I remember in one of our conservatory hour critiques. It was actually for Ragtime, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
like shut like because obviously we all came off of Ragtime and we were like, yeah, like inclusion, like this is so good, OMG, like good time Ragtime. And then one of the non-school drama students actually like rose their hand and was like, this was like an amazing production and everything, but like I'm just curious as to why are there not more Asian students at this school and like what goes on with the accepting process. And like the answer
Yeah.
was like, well, we would just love to have more Asian students here, but we just don't happen to have them in our shows. And it's like that didn't answer the question, like what. Like, you can't see them in a show if you don't accept them in the first place, and, like,
Yeah.
what goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when he said that a lot of us were like, oh, shit, like, we didn't real like, this is, like, not something we didn't realize, but, like, it was someone actually vocalizing it in a public setting instead of just in the hallways of the third floor.
Yeah.
Also, like, it was funny to me that, like, to fill, cause it's important that you use actors' races, especially in a show like this, because you can't just put someone on there and be like, I'm pretending, or also you can't put someone in blackface, because that's just wrong. That
Or
they had to
yellowface.
pull from
Yeah.
senior, junior, and took BXA to fill the race requirements. So the fact that they had to do that to me is
And
also
even
like a
still,
huge
they
issue.
like. I remember there was there was a scene in which like Chase was like, "Oh, look at the cracker," and I was like, "Sir," or like Leah DeMarchi was like up with like Jade, and she was like, "Oh, she's not one of us," and we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it was just like.
Like this school, I think, is
there's problems.
definitely one of the better schools at trying to make it as diverse as possible, but it's still like we were in our PTM class. Shout out to David Bovers. Was it Aubrey or Leah who talked about how it was Aubrey's
Yeah.
who was like, we're not going to be able to fix diversity for another 475 years, and you're like, holy shit! Electricity was invented 300 years ago. How is it going to be able to take 400 years just to get diversity? Like, it should be a simple human thing to be like, everyone is equal. Like, that's not a...
Yeah, and like
what?
also stuff like this makes you think like, oh, like because in our industry in particular, which is like an industry of acceptance, it does make you like ponder like how this is affecting other industries where there are people where it's not as an accepting environment, and like if that's just for us, I can't even imagine what it's like to be
The high schools that ban like natural African American hair and like just
I remember the
things.
military
It's
when
just,
they
like,
put out like because in the military you have to have like specific like grade hair, like and they tell you like how men have to get the buzz cut, like women have to put in buns. They were for women with like natural hair, they were like essentially they weren't allowed to do like they were being forced into like buns and things like that, and I don't know, just like yeah, that was a very well articulated, but
At the part of it says that I can't pronounce Lavina, as well as some others, as well as not to see work at any theater that does not produce at least one director or playwright of color in their entire season. And I think every theater mission in 2017 should have at least one playwright, one director, or just do their whole season of completely diverse. I think.
is that season next year? Does it have anyone?
Oh yeah.
Here? Yeah, next season. I might be wrong.
No, I remember seeing like a picture.
Because someone like typed up, they were like everything in our season
you're right.
next
I
year
remember that.
that was written by like white men, everything that was produced by like people of color, and it was blank. There was nothing there.
And like, that's
but-
not okay. Yeah, that was just a sad
That was
ending.
just
Wow.
sad.
Like,
And even though that was very like CMU like centric, that entire spiel just went on, like the podcast in particular still is like we kind of took off like a tangent, but
of the whole.
it is like people like this who talk about like for her it was specifically about Midwestern theater and like the environment of that, but it is people like that can spark conversations about their own environments and their own places, like what we just did.
Cool.
Okay.
So
That's
the next article is why my Spinal Tap lawsuit affects all creators.
What?
So this article was really interesting. So last night, or whatever, people don't really care, I watched the movie, what was it called? Founder. It was about like the guy who like founded McDonald's. So in the end, spoiler alert, it was a weird movie.
No, he like someone bought it from him or something. Didn't they?
Spoiler alert. So the guy who ended up becoming like the one who wanted to franchise from the original owners ended up fucking them over, doing a handshake deal that every time he would franchise a new restaurant, they would get a certain amount of money for it. Because they didn't write it down in their contract because it was just a handshake and other people didn't want it, whatever, but they wanted it, they never got a single cent of what McDonald's should give to them because of this horrible agreement that the franchise owner, who now technically owns McDonald's, like all of them, did. So this article is basically saying, like...
Before we keep going, I'm just, like, a little bit salty about this article, because, like, it is a big issue for people who are, like, backstage and who are seriously invested in, like, production. So people like us understand that this is a big issue. But it's also, like, it's concerns of ours, and it is a concern, but it's not necessarily a concern the general public has. And there's this thing, like, this accusatory thing that the author puts in. Behind the ambitious creative talent that is Hollywood lies the darker side of the entertainment industry with little appreciated by the ordinary moviegoer. And it's like, they need to appreciate it. They're there for a good time. It's not like someone walks down the aisle in a grocery store and goes, what is the history of this orange? They're like, this is an orange I'm going to pay money for, so it fulfills my need of eating.
Yeah, I think if you're like, we're okay with that, and like as long as, for the most part, there should be more recognition for people in our field, but like.
Well, I think so. Like the majority of this article was like how they're filing a lawsuit to get what they deserve, and I do agree that everyone deserves what is given to them. Like you should just don't be a shitty human being. Like plot line of the day: don't censor Shrek. Don't be a shitty human being. But like. They're filing a $125 million lawsuit, like, and then what was it? Also, they're seeking $400 million. Like, y'all gotta chill. $400 million. What are you gonna spend that money on? You don't need 8 more cars. You really don't. I think $400 million for a lawsuit is really extra, and I get that you want to prove their point, and like Yeah.
You do need that money though, because like with a lawsuit like this, it's going to spiral out of control and last years in court. The point of having such a huge charge is so that at the end, if you win, you actually have money left over for what
you get
happened.
A portion instead of.
Well, I know
because if
that.
you have 400,
But they're already rich.
That's also true.
That I mean,
Like,
even
It's a
though-
little silly.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like if it would be different if Madeline was like, "Oh,
I
I
would still
deserve
do it.
$100 million."
Well, if I was rich,
I
I would
do.
still do it just to spite the person, because it's not even like the fact that I'm
Don't be a
getting
shitty
more
human.
money. It's the fact, it's not the fact that I'm getting more money. It's the fact that I'm taking away something they care about as punishment for what they've done to my
Well,
artistic
I think
career.
Okay, but then that gets into the whole like, do you need revenge in your life to be happy? Do you need
Yes.
like, revenge?
This just turned into
I
a
com-
moral alignment
Okay,
podcast
so before
with your
this
favorite
gets
freshman DPs.
I think
I wouldn't call us the favorite freshman DPs because I think you
That
have
was
a
a
lot.
term used sarcastically.
You have a lot to choose from, and like if you chose us, that would be a weird combination. First off, and then like I'd also question your judgment.
either
So
way,
on
you know,
that note, moving on to the next article, lighting through the glass ceiling, reflections on Tharon Musser.
I really like this
Musser.
title and all the puns in it.
Lighting
I don't like
glass
the
ceiling
title.
reflections. It's
Get
like,
it? Because it's like
it would have been fine if they used like one of these puns, but they're like, you know what?
there's like 4.
It's like you have a pink box and you're like, this is a really cute pink box. It'd be cool
Where are
if
you
I
going
had a
with this?
blue circle in it. And then you're like, you know what would be even better than a blue circle and a pink
Claire.
box? Let's just pour glitter on
Claire,
it.
this is a terrible analogy.
Isn't it?
I don't
It
know
doesn't
where
even
that
apply
is
at all.
Okay, whatever. So I'm
Moving on.
so in this
The
article.
lighting designers.
Yeah, it's really cool that they showed the original lighting plot of a chorus line for an Italian company. She thought, oh wait, hold
Buongiorno.
on, Buongiorno. Yeah, so Italian. That's like, but it's cool that I'm just relating this back to our class because I'm not a lighting person. But like when we did lighting calls, they would give us like a lighting plot, and I'm like, oh shit, like this lighting plot right here looks like exactly like the one that who Philip gave to us to go hang some lights. And I think
It's a shame it's not a real lighting plot since it didn't have coffee stains and cigarette burns in it.
true.
Quote from the article,
Yeah.
not from Claire.
I know nothing about lighting, except for I do know more about John apparently.
I can say
Wait,
some
more
things.
about John, more than
I scored higher than John in stagecraft for lighting.
Really?
And
More
he's
you
still,
know.
He's still salty. I don't know how I got that grade. He's still salty.
Colors influenced by
Yeah,
the
it's just
person.
cool to see lighting change throughout.
It's also
history.
cool to see it like through the, because like there is so
Especially
like,
a woman.
obviously that's the thing. There's so much like female history that like just goes completely. It's the same thing where like history is written by the winners, but more specifically the male winners. And, like especially in theater where it like it's not. I mean, you don't get a rundown in history of theater in like high school, but like you do other general history. I don't know, just like female history is like something that is just being like talked about now. So especially in the context of theater where the history of it isn't as like publicly like taught to people. And also especially in lighting where it is more of a male dominated industry.
Well,
I
actually-
remember there was a chart like that I saw like on Facebook, like I remember like Olivia Laverne had posted or
Yeah.
something where it was like an infograph kind of thing or like a picture, I forget what they're called, of like men to women ratios in the different concentrations of theater, and like the lighting one, I think it had 10 people and like one of them was a female.
Well, what's really interesting is I went to like a USITT session when I was like a junior, and they had a thing about how many like women are in lighting and all that stuff. And apparently, like women actually like pioneered like lighting design.
Yeah.
And then from there, it slowly like it just like switched, and then now it's like a men dominated.
Yeah, like Peggy Eisenhower too. So she was one of like the founding people for like lighting design as a career. Like
Yeah, like she won the Tony Award for a chorus line, and like that's revolutionary. The whole set was mirrors and having to figure out that, and then I just think that's amazing. And then like, just the what was I just about to say? Oh yeah, and just like the whole point of like how like women aren't being represented enough. Like in 2016 was the first time ever that the full creative team of the show was just women. It was Waitress, and that made like big headlines because it was like the first show ever that was just a female show. And then I did I got to like observe the tech of Cats, the recent revival. Never forget.
Evan observed Cats.
But I just remember that Natasha Katz, who was like, that's funny to say, she's the lighting designer for it. I remember, I think it was her, Annie Blankenbuehler's assistant, and then some people from costumes and an assistant stage manager were the only female people on the production team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think...
Yeah, because it's also like problems like that, but like when you bring up the history of like these are the women that like made these big strides in theater, like it makes you draw back to today and like how like history is a good way to reflect on today. Wow, big surprise, but no, really. Like,
and I wish there were more articles like going into like what actually like small things like the colors influence, like how little things like that. I wish there were more articles about that from like every discipline and every designer to be like, what are the little things that help you create
I like
such
how it's
the
more
big
technical
things.
than some of the other articles.
Where it's not like 10 tips for
to be a
costume.
better boy.
No, 10 tips for the costume.
Oh
Where,
yeah, how to close costume together.
How to do quick change. 10 tips.
10 cool new steps on how to fix your shoes. 1, fix your shoes. 2, fixing your shoes is cool.
Get new shoes.
3, you know what else is
Buy
cool?
new
Fixing
shoes.
your shoes.
Yeah. So I think I really liked how this article just presented.
And I felt like it actually went in depth because I'm like the one where it's like a history of ballet through beautiful costumes and it wound up just being photos and a video. Like this actually gave me like information and things I genuinely did not know about instead of just being like, wow, cool, shade lane, choose a girl, bye, peace,
Like
here's
I
the
could
photos.
quote this on an essay and not feel shameful, but like I could not quote the top 10 list without being like, you know.
Shout out to Roscoe.
Yeah.
That was-
Alright, next article. We went over.
Shout out.
CMU augmented reality app shows East Liberty as it used to be, with our boy Davey on the very right, but also like I feel like whoever took this photo was like, hey,
Yeah, this is
this
a weird
photo
picture.
is not looking snazzy enough, so we're gonna like put it from a giant's angle, also in a fisheye lens, but that's not enough. So Davey, I'm
His finger is
gonna
like-
be cinematographer and a costume designer, and I want you to put on work glasses and an orange shirt, and I want you to point really far
Okay,
so your
okay,
arm is
okay,
distorted.
I get
whatever.
it, Claire.
Alright,
I'm
so
sorry, I just don't like it when people do stuff like this because I've had
Okay,
I-
so
no,
we're
no,
done.
no,
Augmented reality app.
Wait,
I
listen.
think
Why
this
is
is
this
this is
important?
I think this is the straight up future. I think this and
So-
In
the
Pokemon Go,
Pokemon Go
or the
and
reason to be alive is 2017.
the reason. No, not that,
The
but
only
like
reason I'm still kicking is because I play Pokemon Go secretly and shamefully from my
That's
my
disgusting.
Okay,
There's a Pokemon.
I
have
honestly
a-
think
wait,
that
wait.
that is
No,
what
yes.
the future is going to be.
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Okay.
Okay,
The media design in Boom,
Holy shit.
that was cool.
Mhm.
And this, I think this is what the future of media design is going to be.
Yeah, I feel like especially like when you see, because I feel like especially in this setting, like media is treated as like, oh, what's an image that we could just project over the entire set and not think twice about it? Because like, oh, I guess we need to put media somewhere. Like shows like Boom and especially like this, it shows you like how like what media can truly do when you put the attention to media that it like actually needs to like cultivate. Like
I think this is also cool from like a historical standpoint. You can
yeah,
suddenly
all
give
the
people
apps
the power to
specifically.
like look around and see stuff and be like, wow, it used to look like this, or like
Mhm.
there's this like special fact about this building or whatever.
Yeah, it makes learning more fun.
Yeah, I think more people, like more high school, middle school age people will want to learn about history if they're doing it through apps like this. Because you're like, oh, I can just quickly pull it up on my phone and not have like a PowerPoint of what it looks like.
So very recently, I read a different article, not through here, just through a random website, about parents being like, don't give your kids technology because what they do is they expect that much information that fast. So when they go to a school setting where they don't get information that fast, they lose attention, and you can't keep their focus because you're not feeding them information as fast as they can interpret it, so they feel bored and their time is wasted. So instead of talking about how to fix the classroom, they are just technology is evil. Don't give them lots of technology. Make them stick to the standardized testing. So yeah, if stuff like this gets integrated into a classroom, you don't have that problem of ooh, technology is scary. It becomes more technology can do it better and more efficiently. So it's learning to using it more as an everyday thing.
Yeah, I think this is what the future is going to be in school. I know my school started to try and integrate computers more into everyone's going to use a computer now to do that. One thing I find
it's just I know when you said that in your school trial, I grew up in where I grew up, it very much was perverse, technology's bad, you're going to become a robot, whatever. And my school was technology's going to distract the kids and destroy the mind of the youth. So I didn't know how to work anything. I downloaded Microsoft Word for the first time this year. Which severely put me at a setback in a lot of my classes where everyone else around me was it was easier for them to hop from different softwares and things because they grew up with that, but because of how I was raised, there was a severe lack in information. And I feel like when you don't allow people, or not allow, but especially with Claire said in a classroom setting, when you take away something that will actually help you and don't try and cultivate it in a positive way, you're not keeping the good. You're just I don't know what I'm saying.
Hindering your ability.
Yeah, essentially, you're just ruining what the person They're still you're not taking the technology forever. You're just hiding from the person, not allowing them to learn it. But it's still going to be there when they get out of here.
It's in high school they had to take technology away because the teachers are literally paid to force students to graduate, so they stop wasting money. Because you have to have no child left behind. You have to get them to graduate. So they're I can't trust you with anything. So we're going to screw all these kids that could be using electronics to help them to get these few kids who don't want to be here just to graduate, so we can get them out of your hair. And being in college, it's great to be able to choose whether or not you're writing your notes or using your computer. Nobody cares. And at this point in life, it's much better because you don't have to worry about those kids who are you have to take away the computers from everyone because they're going to be goofing off. Because if someone wants to waste their tuition screwing around on their computer during class, you know what, more power to you. You're not distracting the rest of the class. You're just wasting your own time and your own money. And I don't have, it's not the teacher's job to help them it's not the teacher's job to make sure they get a degree. It's theirs. But then when you have I've had 2 classes this year that have told me you're not allowed to use a computer during this class period. That is inefficient. That is a waste of paper. That is not. It takes away so many more opportunities you have to teach learning in a new way.
Especially for people that there are other people who because of health reasons or they having a computer physically makes it easier. If they have an attention disorder or something, being able to keep up with handwriting is physically hard, and it physically hinders their learning ability.
Yeah, I think everyone, and by probably 2025, every child is going to just have a tablet with them in the school. Every child is just going to have a tablet with them, and that's just how they're going to learn. And I think everyone's going to become robots.
And when the teachers now, it goes back to saying it's not your job to make them graduate. So it's even if you take a computer away from someone who's not paying attention, they're not going to pay attention to you. They're just going to think about other things or find other ways not to pay attention. So it's
well, I think this is
just let
especially
them be
good
less distracting.
Because, if you give a teacher VR, they're going to be how do I integrate this into the classroom? But if you do something like augmented reality, it's closer to if you have an older teacher who doesn't know technology, there's a step in between going straight to this high tech world. So
yeah. All right. So I think
that's all 10 articles. We're at 49 minutes. Yay!
yeah,
Don't censor Shrek.
don't censor Shrek
We
Don't
put a
censor
picture of
Shrek.
Shrek
Anything.
right here.
right here.
Yeah.
in the background the whole time.
Don't censor
Don't
Shrek.
censor Shrek.